Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So in this tutorial I have this baby kimono pattern for you. It's a super easy kimono pattern knit up in all garter stitch. You start from the back and work your way up, and the front panels are knit separately. I've also added this little buttonhole on the front. So if you are looking for a quick and easy project to make for a newborn baby, then this project is going to be perfect for you. And please comment down below if you want me to make a tutorial for a different size for this type of kimono. I will definitely consider it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So here I have cast on 44 stitches for the back. You can use any method for casting on stitches. Now let's do row 1. So in row 1 you're going to slip the first stitch. This is going to be the edge stitch, and with the working yarn at the back you're going to knit through all the stitches in this row. So simply knit all the stitches till the end of the row. Once you have finished knitting row 1, you're going to turn the work and move to the next row, and in this row also we are going to repeat row 1. So slip the first stitch, take the working yarn to the back and knit through all the stitches. So basically you will repeat row 1 and knit in garter stitch. So continue to knit in garter stitch until your work measures about 5.5 inches. So here I have finished working my piece in garter stitch. Just quickly going to measure it. So whenever you are measuring a knit piece, lay your work in a flat surface and then measure. So it is about 5.5 inch, which is going to be enough. And next we are going to cast on stitches for the sleeves on both the sides. So let's go ahead and do that. So before we start casting on stitches for the sleeves, we are going to take a stitch marker and place it on the edge. So this is going to differentiate the stitches for the sleeves and the body. So once you have done that, we are going to start casting on. So wrap the yarn around your index finger like so, and with your left needle you're going to go under that and slip that loop on your needle and then pull. So you have just finished casting on one stitch. So wrap the yarn around, you go under with your left needle like so, and then slip that loop and then pull. So it is a very easy method for casting on stitches on the edge. So continue to cast on 34 stitches for the sleeves. So I have finished casting on 34 stitches. So now we will begin to knit. So start knitting with the first stitch. So normally you slip the first stitch, but since you have just cast on stitches, you're going to knit the first stitch as well. And try not to pull the needles too much because it will create that gap. Keep the needles close to each other and knit all the stitches for the sleeves that you have just cast on. So I have one last stitch left for the sleeve. Just going to knit that and then slip the marker on the right needle knit all the stitches for the back till the end. So once you have finished knitting all the stitches for the back, you are going to turn the work and cast on stitches for the other sleeve. So take a stitch marker and place it on the edge, and then using the same method you are going to cast on 34 stitches on this side as well. So I have finished casting on 34 stitches for the sleeves. Now start knitting. So you're going to knit through all the stitches that you have just cast on for the sleeves. And one last stitch left, and once you have reached the marker, you're going to simply slip that marker and continue to knit all the stitches till the end of the row, including the stitches for the other sleeve. So continue to knit. So this is how the piece is going to look from now. So from here you're going to continue to knit all the stitches in every row until the sleeves measure about 2.5 inches. So I finished knitting 2.5 inches of the sleeves. Now we will start knitting the front panels, and we are going to do the right panel first. So slip the first stitch and knit all the stitches for the sleeves until you reach the marker. Now slip the marker and you're going to knit 15 stitches from the stitches for the body. So knit 15. So I have finished knitting 15 stitches, and from now we are not going to work these stitches, so you can also place them on spare needle. We are only going to work up until this 15th stitch. So turn your work, and from now you're going to work 5 rows of garter stitch. So you will work the 34 stitches of the sleeve and the 15 stitches of the body. So work to and fro for 5 rows in garter stitch. So I have finished working 5 rows of garter stitch. Next you're going to take a stitch marker and place it before the last 3 stitches of the body. So from here we'll start increasing stitch. So actually this is going to fold, and this is the right panel that we are knitting, so it is going to slant this way. So let's start knitting the next row. Slip the first stitch and you're going to knit through all the stitches until you have reached the last marker. So I have one last stitch left. I'm going to knit that, and next I'm going to make one stitch. So wrap the yarn around and cast on one stitch in the same way that you did for casting on stitches for the sleeves, and then slip the marker and knit the last 3 stitches. Now turn the work, and on this side you're going to simply knit through all the stitches. Once you finish that row, we are going to do the next row. So slip the first stitch and knit through all the stitches until you have reached the last marker where you are going to increase one stitch. So simply knit through all the stitches, and once you reach the marker you are going to increase one stitch. So use the same method that you did for casting on stitches for the sleeves and cast on one stitch. Slip the marker and knit the last 3 stitches of the row. Now turn your work and you are going to knit through all the stitches on the wrong side. So from here you are going to repeat 2 rows. I will write down the rows that you have to repeat. So continue to knit repeating these 2 rows until the work measures about 5 inch. So I continue to do the increase on this side and worked in garter stitch, and I have about 5.3 or 5.2 inch. Now I'm going to cast off stitches for the sleeves. So this is actually going to fold like this. So this is the front and the sleeve is complete. So now we are going to cast off stitches for the sleeves. So for binding off the stitches, you are going to slip the first stitch and then knit 1, and now you're going to pass the second stitch on your right needle over the first stitch like this. So you have just finished casting off one stitch. Again knit the next stitch and you're going to pass the second stitch over the first. Again you're going to knit the next stitch and pass the second stitch over the first. So continue to bind off stitches until you have reached the marker. So one last bind off, and I have one stitch left from the sleeve. Now you're going to remove the marker and slip that stitch over to the left needle, and I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches together through the back loop. So insert your needle through the back loop of the 2 stitches and then knit them together. So with that you have finished binding off stitches of the sleeve. So now you're going to knit the rest of the stitches of the body, and don't forget you're going to increase one stitch before the marker. So I have reached the marker. Now I'm going to increase one stitch. So cast on one stitch, slip the marker and knit 3. Now turn your work, and on this side we are going to knit through all the stitches. So from here you are going to repeat 2 rows. On the right side you will increase one stitch, and on the wrong side simply knit through all, and continue to do that until you have last 1 inch left of the front panel. So I continue to do the increase on this side, and I have about 1 inch left to knit. And make sure to align the sleeves together, lay your work in flat, and I have the last 1 inch or so remaining to knit. So now we will stop doing the increase, so you can remove the stitch marker that you placed for doing the increase. And now we are going to knit the stitches that are on your needles at present, and we are going to make a buttonhole. So starting with the wrong side, you are going to knit 3 rows in garter stitch. So you are not going to work any increase now, simply knit in garter stitch for 3 rows starting with the wrong side. So I worked in garter stitch for 3 rows, and in this row we are going to start making the buttonhole. So slip the first stitch and knit through all the stitches until you have last 7 stitches remaining. I have the last 7 stitches. Now I'm going to bind off 2 stitches. So knit 2, and you're going to pass the second stitch over the first. So that's 1 bind off, and then again knit 1 and pass the second stitch over the first. So you just did 2 bind off. Now knit the rest of the stitches and turn your work, and you're going to knit all till you did the bind off. So this is where we did the bind off in the previous row. Now we will cast on 2 stitches here. So use the same method for casting on for the sleeves and cast on 2 stitches, and next you're going to simply knit through all the stitches. Turn the work, and in the next row you're going to simply knit through all the stitches till the end of the row. So this 2 stitches is the cast on that we did. So you're going to knit them just normally. Just try not to pull the stitches too much, just keep the needles close and knit them. So with that we have finished making the buttonhole. Once you finish making the buttonhole, you're going to continue to knit in garter stitch until the front and the back measures the same length. So I've finally finished knitting one of the front panels. The back and the front are the same length. So now we are going to bind off stitches. So use the same method that you used for binding off stitches of the sleeve. With that we have finished working one side of the kimono. Now we are going to move on to the rest of the stitches. So I have these stitches on a spare needle. We will start working these stitches now. So first of all we are going to join a new yarn here. So take the needle and insert it knitwise on the first stitch, and you're going to take a new yarn and make a loop with it, and then simply slide that loop on the needle like so, and then knit the first stitch. So next you're going to knit the next stitch, So knit that and pass the second stitch over the first. So you have finished binding of one stitch. Again knit one, pass the second stitch over the first, so that makes two. So likewise continue to bind off 14 stitches for the neck opening. So this is the last one, and with this I have finished binding of 14 stitches which are for the neck opening. Now with the rest of the stitches we are going to work 4 rows in garter stitch. I have finished working 4 rows in garter stitch. So from here we will start increasing stitches. So take a stitch marker and you're going to place it after the first 3 stitches, and we will start increasing stitches from this row. So slip the first stitch, yarn to the back and knit 2, 1 and 2. Next slip the marker and you're going to increase 1 stitch, so cast on 1, and you're going to knit the rest of the stitches till the end of the row. Once you have done that, you're going to turn your work and you'll knit through all the stitches on this row. On to the next row, slip the first stitch, yarn to the back and knit 2. Next slip the marker and increase 1, so cast on 1 stitch and you will knit the rest of the stitches. So from here we are going to work 2 row repeat. On the right side we will increase 1 stitch after the marker, and on the wrong side we are simply going to knit through all the stitches without any increase. So we will continue to do that until the sleeve measures about 5 or 5.2 inches. So I finished knitting the sleeve, and the total number of stitches from the edge up until this marker is 27. So next we are going to start binding off stitches for the sleeve. So use the same method that we used for binding off stitches of the other sleeve, and you will bind off all the stitches until you have reached the marker. So I have one last stitch left after the bind off. Now remove the marker and slip that stitch over to the left needle, and we'll knit the next 2 stitches together through the back loop. And now knit the rest of the stitches till the end of the row. So this is how the piece looks like so far. Now from here we'll do the 2 row repeat. On the right side you are going to knit 3, slip the marker, you are going to increase 1 stitch and knit the rest of the stitches. On the wrong side simply knit through all the stitches. So we are going to continue to do that, and we will not be making any buttonholes on this side, so simply do that till the back and the front are the same length. So here I am showing you the 2-row repeat that you're going to do from now on. Slip the first stitch, knit 2, slip the marker and cast on 1 stitch and knit the rest of the stitches. Turn your work, and on the next row you're simply going to knit through all the stitches without any increase. So slip the first stitch, yarn to the back and knit all the stitches till the end of the row. So continue to do the 2-row repeat until the front and the back are the same length. So continue to do the increase, and once you reach the length you are going to bind off stitches for this side as well. So after binding off, this is how the piece is going to look like. So it will go on the back and the buttonhole side will go on the top. I'm just going to fold it and show you how it looks. Now let's go ahead and seam the sides and the sleeves. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please comment down below if the instructions were clear enough for you guys, and please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. So that's it for today's video. Till then, I will see you next time. Bye bye.